Driving business.
Well, exactly, that is 20 minutes to the top of the hour. Smart Means Business, Andrew Barigi and David Lim joined with Masika Time as we heading into our business, entertainment and sports. But of course, firstly, Masika Time takes us through what's happening into the world of sports.
Well, a very good morning to you watching. My name is Masika Time and I'm going to be taking you throughout the sports business. And of course, I think last week actually we discussed the new entrants, the hope to join entrants in Chelsea FC, given the fact that the owner, that is or perspective of maybe sacking Mauricio, but then Mauricio is saying for us, for Chelsea to have enough potential, there has to be new members that have to be added into the club of Chelsea. And of course, one of the nominated ones was the Napoli FC star, that is the Nigerian Victor Osimhen, and of course Tony. But of course, reports here come in as Chelsea is, I told you, at the end of the day, Africa has a lot of talent. And if you looked for talent in football, trust me, they will choose an African because, I mean, and here it is, Chelsea eyeing a Nigerian star. And of course, he won the CAF Best Male Player in Africa. So definitely he's going to be joining Chelsea FC if he agrees to the kind of money that is going to be given to him. Well, of course, the Chelsea FC reportedly gearing up for the blockbuster transfer window in 2024, setting their sights on Napoli striker, that is Victor Osimhen. Well, of course, the 24-year-old Nigerian forward has emerged as a top target for the Blues, who view him as the perfect solution to their ongoing search for reliable goal scorer. And of course, you know, the performance of Chelsea this season, the Premier League has not been really good. So definitely that is why they had issues of whether to sack their manager. But of course, that could have been a threat for just improval. Well, of course, according to a report, Chelsea isn't faced by the hefty 112 million pound release clause reportedly included in Osimhen's new contract with Napoli. Well, of course, the Blues are encouraged with the player's own interest in a move to Stamford Bridge, fueled by his admiration for Chelsea legend Didier Drogba. As you well know, he also played for Chelsea. Yeah, so Ivory Coast. And of course, this one is from Nigeria. Of course, this preference would give Chelsea an edge over potential rivals like Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. Well, Napoli actually prepares for departure, while Napoli would rather hold on to the prized asset, and that is Victor, and they're reportedly preparing Osimhen's potential exit by scouting replacements. Well, of course, when it comes to financial muscle flex, under the ownership of Todd Boehly, and of course, Chelsea boasts significant financial clout, despite the sizable outlay in the previous transfer window, which was almost £1 billion. That is the money they actually spent on buying new players. So far, they're not seeing quite the performance as they expected. Just like Manchester United is not seeing the performance of some players that were brought in during the course of this beginning of this season. Well, of course, here as well, while of course the CM remains without bleaching financial fair play restrictions, options in case the Napoli deal falls through, names like Ivan Toney, Victor Ronnie, then there's Antonio Nusa on the club's radar, showcasing their commitment to bolstering their attacking options. So definitely it's not only Victor. First of all, we saw Tony. Tony was also on the list, so they were contemplating on the two. Either it's Victor or Tony, but then the list has become bigger. So if at all Osimhen doesn't take this deal, that means the options. So he's gonna have to choose accordingly if he's to stay in Napoli or he's gonna be playing for Chelsea FC. But of course, away from that, we see that Victor is set to break a record with Napoli a new deal, and of course, Chelsea's plan to trigger $112 million release in a clause on Osimhen's contract. That is with Napoli. So are they going to be paying him more than he is being paid? Well, that is up to him. Of course, as him to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea plots 112 million raid on Napoli for Nigerian striker. Yeah, so that is what is happening. For those that are, we're actually, asking themselves on the prize money. That is it, 112 million pounds. That's quite some money actually, compared. That's slightly lower than the one they had bought at 115 million pounds. Well, of course, a new young talent, 24 years of age, but of course he has a lot of competition. If he doesn't, decide, then they may walk away with Ivan Toney because they were contemplating among the two. Well, of course, away from that, as we prepare to usher in the 2023 AFCON. Last year, the last edition of AFCON was actually in Cameroon, and there was a lot of insecurity because there was a stampede in the beginning. And of course, many lives were lost. 8 lives were lost, and others were injured. So Ivory Coast doesn't want to repeat that pattern again. He doesn't want to repeat that pattern again. Of course, it's very key that people are secure. Because if a stampede happens in a stadium, trust me, if you're weak, you can't survive. So they are planning, they have tightened their measures on security for such an event that happened in Cameroon not to happen. And of course, around 1.5 billion US dollars was invested in the 2023 AFCON that is going to be taking place in Ivory Coast. So are you ready, Africa? Yes, definitely. January, let's get prepared to watch the games. Well, of course, AFCON 2023 ready for Ivory hosting. And of course, as we see here, all is on track for the African football showpiece, the African Cup of Nations. Yes, according to the organizers of Ivory Coast, who are confident that their security measures will prevent a repeat of the tragedy that overshadowed the 2022 edition in Cameroon. Well, Ivory Coast may be one of the heavyweights in African football, but this will be only the second time they host the finals. And of course, after the 1984, when the tournament featured 8 teams instead of 24 in this term round. Of course, the competition runs from January the 13th and February the 11th. Yeah, so definitely, so get prepared. 13th January, get your TV sets ready because we're going to be watching some African football right there. And of course, with Senegal defending the title, they won for the first time after battling Egypt on penalties. Well, of course, around 1.5 billion has been invested, which includes funding improved roads, yes, principally a complete overhaul of 350-kilometer Castle Road, which links to Abidjan, the economic capital, the port to the port city of San Pedro, and are cutting in half the travel time between the two. Well, aside from the external security risk posed by the terrorists based in the neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, Ivorian authorities have moved to quell fears over the crowd control, which has been the source of most anxiety due to what happened in last year, like I said, in Cameroon. Well, of course, the last 16 clashes between host Cameroon and the Comoros resulted in 8 dying and dozens injured due to a crash as home fans piled in to watch. So it was a scuffle. Yeah, people wanted to see. They wanted to see. So of course there will be some 17,000 soldiers and police deployed for the tournament and 2,500 stadium staff. So Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania could pick a leaf because there are very many stampedes. Apparently there is a lot of crowding. Well, definitely there's need for security. Well, the 1.5 billion was invested in infrastructure. We could do the same as well. You know, when we have to compare. So definitely, it is not. It was not come a few months ago when the embarrassment of the organizers rain flooded the pitch at the 60,000 capacity of the Ipembe Olympic Stadium, which had been constructed at enormous cost for the tournament. You can imagine. So the pitch, the stadium that they were all praising was flooded. Yes, so they had to rethink, to restructure their the way they had built it. So definitely the stadium is due to host 10 matches, including the opening game between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso on the 13th of January and the final of 11th February next year. So the beginning matches is going to be Ivory Coast and Guinea-Bissau. So definitely the home nation is going to be battling it out with Burkina Faso. And of course, finally, the last game is going to be still hosted in Ipembe Olympic Stadium. And we await definitely next year, come 13th, to watch the African Cup of Nations 2023. Well, that is it for our sports business. And of course, Andrew is going to be taking us through what is happening in the entertainment industry.
Just like for us to wind up with the 2023 and of course 2024, anticipating quite much more interesting action from that perspective. Now, I wanted to just give a little bit of hint. Probably I'll be back with further details, just a hint on the most anticipated movies that is come 2024. Now, this information, I'm actually getting it from the Rotten Tomatoes website, which is known for hard critics when it comes to weighing down movies vis-a-vis what a normal viewer can actually, obtain from that perspective. And briefly, because I think I have quite 3 minutes to just a hint. According to the Rotten Tomatoes, come 2024, one of the most anticipated movies I can see here is Mean Girls. Now, this is a movie directed by Arturo Perez and Samantha Jane. Yeah, so January, it's gonna be the early kickoff for that. So for the movie fans out there, maybe try to see whether Rotten Tomatoes is actually not misleading you. I know there are movies that some people that had in mind what could make, but we're talking about movies that are likely to generate quite some huge lots of money, which are going to be like in a blockbuster sort of a state. Now that is Mean Girls for you, so not that. Of course, coming in here to our other movie, that is Jail. This is a movie directed by Matthew Vaughn. I know, it's quite surprising. there are movies that you had in mind that could make money. But Rotten Tomatoes is a set of highly advanced critics when it comes to movie selection, rating movies, and all that. And you get to realize that for your movie to get a good score, it's really pretty hard. And actually, positive reviews about your movie on Rotten Tomatoes can increase its ticket sales on the domestic box office. So that's how far globally it is trusted when it comes to making movie opinions. Now, of course, we have Madame Web, still 2024. This is S.J. Clarkson, directed by that. Then the one I'm really waiting for, which I've actually been waiting for, we watched the first part last, that was in 2021, but now part 2 is really back, and part 1 performed really pretty well in terms of box office sales because it sold about 700 million copies. That is Dune. Yes, Dune part 2 is actually going to be back next year, 2024. This is Denis Villeneuve, and of course it led to the rise of this youngster called Timothy Chalamet. Yeah, of course, under Warner Brothers Discovery. Let us wait and see how this really shows up. But just a brief, those are the most anticipated movies for the early kickoff, that is of January, which are likely to make some huge funds of money. Dune Part 2, Mean Girls, Madame Web, we have Argylle. The top 4 so far. Let's wait and see what really it shows out when the year comes. Well, that is it from the Business in Sports and Entertainment. Let's take a break. And of course, our business insight is into the pipeline shortly.
Smart 24, driving business.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic.